Hey, what's going on? My name is Coach Lee Hopkins. My pronouns are he, him, his, and you're listening to the Patterns of Possibility podcast. This is a podcast dedicated to helping you replace harmful patterns with new possibilities. In each episode, we'll explore topics that inspire you to be yourself, live your truth, and make lasting connections. In this episode, we're going to talk about superficial conversations, those boring, lame, uninteresting, tiresome conversations that you keep having over and over and over again with people that you're supposed to be close to. What's up with that? We're going to talk about why it happens and what you can do to shift those conversations to something more deep and meaningful. Are you ready? Let's go. You know, it's kind of hard to talk about deep and important things to people, right? I mean, what even is deep and important to you these days? Are you outraged about what's going on social media, what's going on with celebrities, what's going on with politics? Outraged? You feeling really strong feelings about those things? Sure, you might be. But are they really deep and meaningful to you? It's kind of hard to decide. It really is, because eventually everything that happens in this world affects you in some way, shape, or form. And especially if you're seeing this constantly bombarded by pictures, by stories, by outrage, it's going to feel really, really personal to you. It's going to feel like, it's in the soul. It's in your soul, and you have to say something about it. But I would argue that it's not really that meaningful to you. Like, how is it going to affect you right at this moment? The quality of your well-being in this moment, in this actual moment, how is it going to affect you? And I'm sure we can go back and we can figure out some way that'll eventually impact you. But right now, in the quality of your life, how is it really affecting you? The point I'm trying to bring up is that we constantly talk about these things that outrage us and we have strong feelings about. We're triggered by those things rather than there's a deep emotional connection to the development of the experience that we're outraged about. Like, we have no story attached to that experience that we're outraged about. No personal individual story that we felt inside of our own souls or our own bones or our own life. We don't have that. And we get outraged about these things and we share them with others and we say we're thoughtful, we're having deep conversation, intellectual, we're connecting on these experiences that we see other people having. And I want to say that if you're doing that, you're stopping yourself from connecting authentically, something deeper, something that personally impacts you daily, something that has developed in your life that you experience, something from your history, maybe some hobbies that you have or some habits that you might have. Talking about those things are a lot more personal than the experience that other people are having. What we tend to do is point at other people having an experience and we comment on how we feel about that experience that they're having. And we make all kinds of assumptions and we say blah, 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 and we call that conversation. But that is surface level stuff. That annoys you if you want to talk more deeply, if you want to feel more connected with somebody else. So what I want to recommend that you do is stop talking about those things and figure out what else to talk about. End of podcast. No, not the end of podcast. But we want to talk about something else. We want to talk about something else that's more deep and meaningful. And the more deep and meaningful things are about the experiences that you actually have. It's about how you feel about your own experiences rather than commenting on other people's experiences. There's a huge difference when it comes to that because they're your own feelings generated by something that was important and interesting and special to you. And you open up and you share that with other people. And it's scary. That's why we don't do it. It's terrifying. What if they don't like it? What if they criticize us the way we criticize other people? What if we judge? What if they judge us? What if they judge our actions? What if we judge what we did or what we said when we share our experience and how we felt about our experience with them? What if they pity us? What if they don't like us anymore? Then we don't share. We don't want to share. And so we stay to the surface level conversations. The surface level conversations don't serve you if you're trying to make an acquaintance more of a closer connection, because you're not talking about yourself. They don't get to know you. They don't know who you are and how you became the person you are today. They don't know what you like or what you're interested in or how you're really, really, really feeling about your family or feeling about your job or feeling about yourself and who you are, your career path, your trajectory, whatever's interesting and important to you. You stuff it all away and you hide it behind talking about somebody else's experience. You talk about history of something else. You talk about philosophy, other people's thoughts. You talk about the news. You talk about celebrity gossip. You talk about all those things that don't really demonstrate your experiences. You talk about everybody else's experience but your experience. And if you do this, you remain disconnected. Now, don't get me wrong. It's entertaining. At some point in time, we realize that some people just can't know us so deeply. They just can't know how we feel, because if we open up to them, they'll pity us. And we don't want pity. We're looking for support. If we open up to them, they'll judge us. We don't want judgment. We're looking for support and understanding, right? So there's some people that aren't capable. Some people won't. Some people are stuck on judging your experiences as if you are a part of a tabloid, or if you're a part of a bigger social media campaign or something that they're outraged about. They don't really see the human in you, so it makes it hard. They're removed from your feelings about your experience, and they just judge, or they just pity, or they just criticize. They go into their own feelings about it, and so you don't want to open up. You don't want to open up. If this is happening to you, still, I recommend that you open up. I teach something called strategic vulnerability, and I'm basically saying, do it anyway. Do it anyway. Tell people about you anyway. It doesn't have to be the things that are, deep stuff like childhood trauma and other horrifying experiences that you may need support with. You don't just go out there and throw them out to people, but you also don't hold on to them as if nobody out there can ever understand them. It's going to make you sick. It's going to make you feel unwell and disconnected from people. Don't hold on to your joys either. Some people can't understand them, but there are some people out there who do. So when I talk about strategic vulnerability, it means being intentional about sharing your joys or your sadness, your fears, your sorrows, your anger with other people. Be careful about who you share that with. And you can use discernment, which is another tool that I teach. Discern who is worthy of knowing the deepest, most important, most scary pieces of who can carry that weight with you, who can support you and create space. You have to be able to identify those people. And I'm going to let you know right now, the best way to identify those people is to give them an opportunity. This is strategic vulnerability. You give them an opportunity to show up for you. Give them an opportunity to show up for you and see if they can hold space for you and see if they can do the thing that you need them to do. And that requires you to share something about who you are. You're required to, because if you continue to talk about things like celebrity gossip and the tabloids or politics, things that don't directly relate to the story of who you are, then they don't get a chance to know you. They don't get a chance to see a bit of who you are. You won't be vulnerable with them, and you'll never have an opportunity to really see if they're capable. And that's what you're looking for in close relationships. So think about something that you enjoy, that's fun and exciting to you. If you're afraid to share that with somebody who's close to you, then give them a chance and see what happens. I'm going to say, I did that sound because I was like, get rid of them. Get rid of them. But first you have to give them a chance. Okay. You just can't be like, well, I don't think that you'll be interested in what I have to say. What's fun to me, if you like ballet or if you like crocheting or maybe you collect beads, whatever it is that you like to do and you think that they're not going to be interested in, share it with them. It's going to change the dynamic of your relationship, but I want you to prepare for that. Perhaps they'll be more excited and interested in learning more, which is what you're looking for. This is a bit of strategic vulnerability, sharing something fun and interesting and exciting. And watch how they respond. If they respond with open arms, then great, thank goodness. I get to talk about something that's really meaningful to me with somebody I like, somebody I care about. Instead of all the doom and gloom or the frustrating things or the things that don't relate directly to me and my experience. How'd you get into collecting Legos? How'd you get into collecting Pokemon cards or swimming or whatever? Talk about those things. But first tell them that you enjoy those things and then wait for the opening. Share more. Hopefully they'll be more interested. That's what we're looking for when we talk about strategic vulnerability. And when they demonstrate that they're able to hold space for you with these light, fun things, they might be able to hold space for you with the more difficult things, with the things that are saddening, that you're afraid of, that anger you so deeply. But not right now. We're just checking to make sure that they can handle and celebrate our joy. That's like the ultimate guide, the ultimate test, litmus test. They can handle your joy. If they celebrate your joy with you, then fantastic. They might be able to do a little more in holding space. So to create those meaningful conversations, start talking about the things that are fun, interesting, and exciting to you personally for whatever reason it is. Share that with them, how they got into it, and then start building your relationship about the things, about your own stories. And if you don't know where to start, I have a Meaningful Connections workbook. Check the link in my bio. It's absolutely free. 50 questions to help you understand more about who you are so that you can open up and share with other people. Hey, Patterns of Possibility fam. If you'd like a little more guidance and hands-on support, then I've got great news. You can hire me as your own personal coach. Go to patternsofpossibility.com/coaching to apply for individual or group coaching. In this 12-week program, I'm going to help you make the meaningful connections that you deserve. After this coaching program, I promise you'll be able to do 3 things. 1, you'll be able to clearly identify who belongs in your tribe and who doesn't. Say goodbye to those people who are wishy-washy, you're unsure of. No, you will know for certain whether or not they deserve to be in the same space with you. And second, you are going to know that your thoughts and feelings are valid and worth expressing. So if you do have feelings about your friends not holding up boundaries or not holding up space for you or not meeting your needs, then you are not going to shy away from telling them. You will be able to communicate your boundaries in a clear, concise manner and advocate for yourself in your relationships. And finally, you are going to learn how to start and stop conversations with strangers and steer them towards topics that are interesting and important to you. I don't know about you, but I don't have weeks, months, years to discover whether or not me and my new friend have compatible values. If you know what you're looking for, you can discover if you're compatible in just a few conversations. If all this sounds good to you and you're ready to make those meaningful connections, go to patternsofpossibility.com/coaching to find out more information. Again, go to patternsofpossibility.com/coaching to find out more information. I look forward to working with you. Now it's time for your listener letters. If you have burning questions about your friendships and your platonic relationships with your coworkers and so forth, let me know. Write me at patternsofpossibility@gmail.com, and I might just read your letter out loud. All right, so this is about conversation. I like to think I'm a reasonably interesting person, I guess, but when I'm in a social setting, I cannot seem to think of anything fun to say. I have some social anxiety and I'm pretty awkward, but I act normally within a group or with people I'm close to. But whenever I'm left alone with anyone else, I can only think of extremely boring and somewhat irrelevant topics to bring up. Things like weather, sleep patterns, in depth talking about my job, and not even the fun parts like plumbing, literally anything you don't really want to talk about to someone else. I notice it brings down the mood, but I can't seem to think of anything else to say. I'd rather not be silent. Sometimes I prepare if I know I'm going to have to be alone with someone, but I usually end up asking questions really abruptly, like, what's your favorite dog breed? It's out of nowhere and usually doesn't link to the conversation, or people think it's weird. Again, I do this to avoid silence. Maybe I should have just accept the silence. I've had a lot of friends in the past, not so much in the last few years, and this feels like a relatively new thing. It's massively damaging to my confidence and my ability to bond with people. Okay, so boring in conversations. Boring in conversations. You know, I feel you. I know I used to be like super boring in conversations too, trying to figure out what other people wanted to talk about. I had no life of my own, nothing that I thought was worthwhile to bring up that people would be like, oh, that's interesting, or I knew that would be exciting to them. So I would be quiet a lot. I would definitely be quiet and kind of shrink away and listen to see what they might be talking about that I might be interested or I might know a little bit about it, so I could jump in the conversation. That's how I did my social conversations and connection with people. And I found that it's a lot of work. It is just exhausting. And people are kind of weirded out by you listening. And I found that I've disappeared too in conversations to them. I've disappeared. Like, oh, I'm standing there, but I'm a little awkwardly hovering around them without talking about anything. I'm just listening, and then I jump in. And it's like I interrupt the flow that's between these people already who are already engaged in conversation. I don't know if you've ever jumped rope with doing a double dutch or anything like that, but I imagine it's kind of like that. Like, people are already going, and I gotta get in. I gotta find somewhere to get in. How am I gonna do this? And should I jump? Yeah. So, that's how my experience. I relate to that a lot. And what I discovered is, of course, this is very, very common. I just used to think that I was absolutely boring. I was around these people who I wanted to impress, who I wanted to be interested in me and be exciting, and I didn't think I was interesting or exciting. And it really is a mindset game. It really is a mindset game where you're thinking about what's important to you and believing that it is important to you. And it's your belief in the thing that's important to you, and other people around you will believe it. It keeps your vibe, it's your vibe of you being interesting. Like, I know I'm an interesting person. I have interesting and exciting things to talk about. I know that I'm fun, fabulous, and fly. I know those things. And then when you start talking about whatever is on your mind, people are going to buy into it because they buy into you. Now, how do you get that confidence? Because I know people out there are probably asking, well, it's so easy to just, say that, but how can you actually be those things? You kind of have to go out there and prove it to yourself. You got to go out there and prove it to yourself. And what I mean is that you go out and you do things for your own enjoyment. Just go enjoy it. If it feels good to you and it's fun to you and exciting to you, you go skateboarding, you go hoverboarding, you go dancing, you go running, you go walking, you go trying a bunch of different ice creams in the city or whatever it is that you do. You start making your own beer and wine, whatever it is that's fun and exciting to you. Try a bunch of different things. And when it lights you up, when you find that thing that lights you up, it's so fun, it's so exciting, something that you're learning, it will be hard to not talk about that with enthusiasm, with excitement. And other people in your conversations are going to hear that excitement, and they're going to be attached to the excitement that you have about the things that you're talking about. Oh, you go wakeboarding? Wow, that's amazing. Oh, you go walking? That's amazing. because I like it so much. I talk about walking. One of my favorite things to do is walk around in the city, because I live in Chicago. Just walk around in the city, looking at different places, watching people as I go. There's so many different restaurants. There's so many different little shops to explore, or just walk by the neighborhoods. You can see the neighborhoods change, especially when I go on these really long miles for miles walks. I love watching the scenery change and exploring new things. The different stores from the same chain have different things in different neighborhoods, right? Going around, kind of peeking around, looking and seeing the layout, the people in the stores. It's just so fantastic for me. I love it so much. And when I get an opportunity to talk to people, I talk about walking, the thing that most of us do every single day. Like, we put one foot in front of the other and we go. But y'all don't feel bad. Maybe y'all don't feel the same way I do about it. But if I'm in conversation and people want to know what's fun to me, what I like, I will talk about that thing. I will talk about that thing because it's exciting to me. It's fun. And people will gravitate towards that. And the good people, it's a good way to distinguish the good people that you might want to hang around with are going to be attached to your enthusiasm and ask questions. They're going to be curious. They're going to like the joy that you share with them, and they're going to be curious and want to know more about it, right? So what I'm saying here is, don't worry about trying to figure out what they want to talk about. It's good to be curious and ask questions and so forth. What's your favorite dog breed? That's a valid question. I don't know where it comes from, but hey, you can always say, look, I'm nervous. I just kind of asked that random question, but do you have one? Because I have one, and these are the reasons why. If dogs aren't important to you, then I don't know why you're bringing it up. It's just, if you can't talk about it, then why are you bringing it up? Because this is not an interview. It's not an interview. You're having a fun conversation. You need to share something about you that you like, that's fun, that's interesting. And if you don't have any of those things, if there's not something fun that you like about yourself that you're willing to share, then stop wasting people's time. Stop trying to talk to them. Stop trying to have conversations with people and make friendships, because if you don't know yourself, they're not going to know you, and you're going to be very, very frustrated. You're going to be very frustrated with the fact that they're not interested in the things that you're interested in, because when you start to bring them up, when you start to discover those things, they're going to be like, I didn't know that, and they have no interest in it. They've never had. And you were hoping that if you spent so much time and energy focusing on what they liked and getting to know them, that eventually when they got to know you, they would treat you the same way. And it doesn't work like that. Don't set yourself up for failure. Go learn some more about who you are, what you like, what's interesting, what's fun to you, and just simply talk to people about it. I know I say it simply, but we make it really, really difficult in believing that it's the end of the world if they don't like what we like. But it actually is giving us really great information about the kind of people we want to be around. If they don't like the things that are really deeply, truly important to us, then it's best for us not to spend too much time and energy being in spaces with those kinds of people. You get that information. So you'll stop being immensely boring in conversations as soon as you stop believing that you are a boring person. Hey, thank you so much for listening. If you like this podcast, share with someone who you think could benefit from this information, and follow me on social media. You can find me at Patterns of Possibility on all social media, and I go live on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time. You can catch me and learn more about these social connections and interact with other people who are looking for the meaningful connections, who share the same kind of stories, and be in community. And don't forget to sign up for my newsletter at patternsofpossibility.com, where you will get actionable steps delivered to your mailbox every week. Thanks again for listening. Until next time, take care.